What are the best long-awaited movie sequels? That's what we're going to discuss on today's show. Hey, it's me, AP, and welcome to the Saturday Movie Show, everyone. I hope you're all having a lovely Saturday as always. It's a show where we discuss movies. You know the Saturday Movie Show. You know the rules by now, what goes down. Today is on the show we're going to be discussing the best long-awaited movie sequels, as I said in the intro. What does that mean? That means movies that we craved for a long time, movies we've expected for a long time, long-awaited sequels. And I'm going to go through a few of my favourites today, some of my favourite long-awaited sequels that came out, discuss why they are my favourite sequels, long-awaited sequels, and just to look at like some of the time periods between some of these movies and maybe some of the reasons why there was such a long time between these movies as well. So it's going to be a really fun episode. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it's I suppose the reason why I'm doing the show is, this week we've got the new Space Jam movie coming out, a new Legacy, and this is what the idea for this show came about. So I think it's going to be a really fun show today. I hope you all stay tuned and enjoy it as always. But before we get into the headline topic of today's show, we're going to go and do some not so worthy blockbuster housekeeping as always. This is the part of the show where I discuss what's going on with the channel, just a general update of things with everything surrounding what's going on within the community as well. So first of all, this is the 37th episode today of the Saturday Movie Show. So it's 37 weeks. I'm not too sure whether... I think I started it would have been the back end of last year. And I imagine I probably had a little break over the Christmas period. But in general, 37 weeks through and through. We've had a few quizzes in between that as well. Special editions. But 37 episodes, it is awesome. I can't believe it's been 37 episodes. I can't, like, I remember starting this podcast and it was something I wanted to do for a long while, just to do a podcast. And I know some people out there are saying, you can't even get this available as a podcast as of yet. And yeah, sure. Longer, a bit further down the line, hopefully I'll get this available where you can listen to the show as an audio version as well, on like Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. That is something that is in the works. I'm looking into doing at a certain point. Definitely, it's going to happen. But, doing this podcast, video podcast, whatever you want to call it, I call it a podcast. 37 episodes, it is awesome. I really enjoy this now, more than anything. With the YouTube stuff I do, any creative stuff, I really enjoy doing the podcast. It's such a fun thing to do every Saturday, even though I film it on Friday. It's Friday right now. But it's so much fun. I love the idea as well of going into every week I do this, and my other videos, the other video content I make, it is planned out weeks, months ahead, because I like to have a schedule for that content. But with the Saturday Movie Show, it's just improvisation when you get to that day. Basically, it's get to that day. Like today, I had no idea what the show was going to be about, what the concept of the show, the topic of the show was going to be about today. Got today and I thought, what's going on with movies at the moment? What's coming out? What's a topical debate going on in movies at the moment? And I thought, you know what? Space Jam. Space Jam's coming out. So why not do an episode on long-awaited movie sequels? Because it was such a long time from the original Space Jam coming out to the new one. So I've just really enjoyed that aspect of it, of just doing something on the go, and just I think sometimes I've learned that now with creating content, I enjoy it more so doing this sort of thing where it's just just dive into something, just dive in, go for it on the day. I enjoy it sometimes over like that planning period of extensive planning of videos, because sometimes it then it feels more like a job, and I don't want that from like YouTube or stuff because it's a hobby for me. I enjoy the hobby as a hobby. Sure, look, I'd love to do it as a career, but at this moment in time, it's not a career for me. It is just something I really am passionate about. It's something I really enjoy doing. But I love doing the show. I think it's so much fun to do. I hope it's nice as well because we got regular viewers, regular people in the community viewing the show every week, and getting involved in the comments, which is awesome. I really enjoy it, and long may it continue. Maybe even like the 40th or maybe the 50th episode of the podcast, we'll try and do something special. I was thinking maybe the 40th, but maybe let's stick to the 50th, maybe get to the 50th. I'll retire when we get to the 50th episode. That's what's going to happen. Spoiler alert, I'm retiring the show. The show's over. Nah, it's not really. But it's been so much fun. And again, thank you all for joining me on the journey so far on the Saturday Movie Show. It is awesome. Some more not so worthy blockbuster housekeeping for you all. So this week I put out a new video, the back to the movie list. Now we're out of the sort of like doing the movie tours. I got to say as well, just in advance for the rest of the show, I've got builders working outside on my neighbours' houses and stuff. I've got dogs barking outside as well. If it is noisy and if you are picking up a bit of extra sound today, I do apologise in advance. It is just one of those things, you're doing it in a residential area. You're going to get builders in other people's houses. It's just out of my hands, I'm afraid. But hopefully this mic will try not to pick up as much of the outside noise, and it'll just pick up my big gob talking to the mic instead. That's what we want to hear. But anyway, Tom Cruise videos. 6 superb Tom Cruise movies. A video came out this week. It was a bit of a different edit as well in the video. I decided to be completely honest, and I like to be completely transparent, completely honest. I said on last week's show I was filming videos that day, and I did do videos that day. I was planning to film like 4 or 5 videos, and I got into filming, and it was just so warm. And today it's super warm here in the UK at the moment, and it was dead humid on the day I was filming. I was filming the video, and you might even see it in the video. Just you can see like sweat, like my face looks more like sweaty. By the end of this show today, my face will be sweating, I imagine. But I was doing these 4 or 5 videos last week, filming them, and the humidity just honestly got to me. I was like halfway through filming certain videos, and I just lose my sense of where I was, like in the video of like the discussion. I was like, I was getting frustrated as well, which I don't get frustrated really when filming content. I normally do it in one go. So I decided then to just do, scrap a bunch of the videos that I was filming because I didn't feel like they were that good. And I felt like some of the things I was discussing as well at the time, maybe it was frustration at the time because it was so warm. I felt like they were just rehashes of other videos I'd done. I want to try and keep topics pretty fresh. I don't want to be going, for example, I don't want to be going to is physical media dead in 2021 and do that topic again and again and again, because I've done it before. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to do like home cinemas versus actual cinemas in 2021. I've done that topic before. I don't want to do the same topics. I don't mind doing like a spin on that topic, but I maybe, I want to keep things fresh on the channel. I want to keep on doing new topics, discuss new topics, and I don't want to just do things for views and do topics just because that gets a load of hits. I don't want the channel to be about that. I want it to keep it relevant to what the channel's about: movies, physical media, home theatres. But I don't want to just keep on doing the same thing and saying the same old crap. So I was doing some of the videos, I wasn't happy, and I decided in the end, because I was just so hot and I couldn't honestly get through a video. I had shorts on, like I've got shorts on right now. You can't see the shorts, but I've got some hot shorts on right now. They're looking awesome. And I had literal, but there was like puddles of water on the floor. My legs, I'm sitting down on this like little stool here at the moment, and because my leg was like pushed up against it, like I was getting like sweaty. I've got really hairy legs, so I was getting like really hot, sweaty legs. This is probably TMI, isn't it? Too much information, but yeah, I was super hot, so I decided to just do the intros and the outros as videos, and then this week I decided to do a bit of a different sort of like version of my normal weekly videos, do like an audio over a voiceover over the top with like images on the screen. And I don't know. Let me know what you think of it. Of the Tom Cruise video, because you'll see in that video where it's just more. It's like B-roll rather than me talking head in front of you. And let me know what you prefer. Really, do you prefer me in front of the camera all the time discussing and just improving, or would you prefer me doing them voiceover ones where maybe sometimes I've got a bit more information because I've got like the movie Wikipedia page in front of me, so I can get a bit more info and I can sort of like go back and backtrack and look at the information and remember the movie a bit more. Because sometimes, yeah, I feel like, I'm doing these videos and you discuss certain movies, and I try and, before I do any video, I try and watch every movie I'm going to discuss beforehand again, just to refresh my memory, unless it's a movie I've watched a ton of times. But sometimes, I even if it's a fresh movie I've just watched, I completely forget. I'll forget the whole plot, and I'll get to this filming, and I'll just be like, yeah, it's a good movie. It's a great movie, and yeah, check it out. And I feel like sometimes it's like I could do better, and sometimes having the information in front of me is a great resource. It's great for me to go to and say, okay, right, now I've got a bit more information. Now I know where I'm going to go with talking about this movie. So yeah, let me know what you feel, how you feel about them videos and which ones you prefer. And again, if you've got any future topics you want to discuss about physical media, particular movie releases, anything. I know big news this week. Apparently, Criterion they've announced they're going to be doing 4K. I'll be honest, I've never really collected Criterion before. I might have the odd few DVDs in my collection that I don't know of, but they're going to do 4K, which sounds really cool because I know they do some really cool movie releases, which is great. But if you want me to start diving into some of those topics, I gladly look into that, and if I feel I can add a good point of view and a good sort of like a video to the topic of conversation, I will definitely do it, ladies and gents. But anyway, we got the more list coming up anyway, so that'll be fun. Today's show as well was going to be a bit of a different show. It was going to be about, initially last night I was thinking about topics for the show, and like I said, I usually get to the day of filming thinking of the topic, but I had a little idea. I was going to go to the dentist this morning, and I was going to get. This has been a dentist appointment that's been cancelled and cancelled again with the pandemic, quite understandably. And I got to the dentist this morning for my dentist appointment. This is the second one. The first one was cancelled, and I had another one pushed back, I think, as well. Got to the dentist and literally got outside and got a phone call from the dentist. The lady came out and said the appointment has been cancelled. The dentist couldn't make it. And you know what? I didn't kick off. It's not my thing to kick off. I understand at this moment in time, things happen. And what am I going to do about it? All I can just say is don't worry about it. And that's what I said to the lady. Reschedule a new appointment. But I was thinking, because I had like the dentist on my mind, and I was thinking, like, I don't really like the dentist that much. Who does? Who likes a dentist out there? Let me know. I was thinking of doing like a special where I look at like, I suppose the dentist inspired like an idea for the show where it was going to be most scariest movies or like things you fear the most in movies, and it was like movies that like make you fear a certain concept. I was thinking of that. Maybe that'll be a good future edition of the Saturday Movie Show. Maybe next week or a few weeks down the line, we'll look at delving into that sort of idea of a show about that concept. But it's just little things like that just spark the ideas for the show sometimes, and it's always cool to have little ideas that spark from things like that, which is fun. But anyway, that is the not so worthy blockbuster housekeeping for today's episode, ladies and gents. So let's get to the headline topic of today's Saturday Movie Show, the best long-awaited movie sequels. And as I said earlier on the show, Space Jam, the new legacy coming out this week, really spawned the idea for today's show. And looking at it as well, there's a ton of like long-awaited movie sequels that are coming out just this year. You've got the new Matrix movie that's coming out. You've got the Top Gun movie as well. And they are like huge, long periods of time, especially Top Gun. That was, what was that, 80s? And I mean, Matrix, that was early 2000s. Was it like 2005 maybe the last one came out? So, I mean, both of those movies are again, long-awaited sequels, and I think, as I said, what is a long-awaited sequel? I think it's a movie that fans have been looking forward to for a long period of time. A movie that fans have maybe expected over a long period of time. I think that's what defines a long-awaited sequel for me. And I've got 4 movies I want to discuss on today's show that for me personally, are long-awaited sequels and sequels that I've really enjoyed. And I'm not going to pick ones that I don't enjoy because I think it's just silly for me to pick movies that I've not enjoyed. These are all ones that I think have been great. Great releases, great stories, and really have proven to be, worthy of that long waiting period of time for that movie. So I'm really looking forward to discussing this. So let's get to the first movie. And the first movie I want to discuss is Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. This was released in 2017. This was the sequel. Let me just sort of give you a bit more info. This is a direct sequel to the Robin Williams Jumanji movie. Right. And it is, obviously, Robin Williams passed away, so he wasn't to feature it, unfortunately, in the Jumanji sequel. It would have been, how much more better would it have been with Robin Williams in? This is the movie that is led by The Rock, features Jack Black, Karen Gillan, and Kevin Hart as well. And this is where they go into the jungle. So 2017, this movie was released. There was, I say direct sequel, because there was another movie in the Jumanji series called, is it Zephora? It's like a video game story, and I believe it was a book, and it was like a spin-off sequel of the Jumanji story. I've never seen that movie. I've never seen it at all, so I can't really comment on that movie, but I believe it's kind of not like connected directly to the original Jumanji movie. It's just sort of set in the same world, but it's not the Jumanji board game. So I feel like the Jumanji with The Rock in, Welcome to the Jungle, is more of a direct sequel to the original Jumanji movie. So let's look at that. First of all, the original Jumanji movie with Robin Williams was released in 1995, and God, I really enjoyed that as a kid. It was just, even as an adult, I always go back to that movie. I think it was a really well-made movie. I like that, that story where he's a kid and then he gets sucked into this Jumanji board game in, like, was it like the 70s or the 80s? Or I think it must be like, it must be the 60s. He gets sucked in as a kid, and then he's like 30, 40 years later, he's a grown man, and he comes out in the board game again. Obviously, the world's changed, and he's helping these kids now who are now playing the game again. And it was just a great story. It was just super fun. It was a fun adventure movie, really, wasn't it? Like going around and you're seeing all these animals and characters from the Jumanji board game coming to life and coming out of it. And obviously, in the sequel movie with The Rock, Welcome to the Jungle, it flipped the sort of like the story round where they were going into the board game this time, which is very different. And I really, really enjoyed both movies. I think long-awaited sequel, I think Welcome to the Jungle really reignited that franchise. It was a very different movie in a way, because it felt more like an action movie, but it had that, it had comedy in it. I think Kevin Hart and Jack Black are both really good comedy actors. I think The Rock is great. I like Karen Gillan as well. I think she's really good in the Guardians movies. I really liked her in Doctor Who. She was a great addition as well. A surprisingly good addition, because she's like still, you don't really know her face really that well, because you see her as Nebula in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and we see her as we see her proper face now in this movie, and I think she's a really talented actress. I like The Rock, as I said. I think he's great. And this movie, going into that world of Jumanji, they flipped it around. They go into it, and the high school kids, and then they take the roles of like these actors, like The Rock, Jack Black, and it was just so much fun. It was a fun adventure, and it's fun seeing what life is like in Jumanji in that board game. And look, that was a 22-year wait for, I think my maths are okay. I think it was 22 years anyway, 95 to 2017. 22 years of a wait to see the Jumanji's, getting tongue-tied, the Jumanji sequel, I think, as a long-awaited sequel, I think it is one of the best. I really do think it is up there as one of the best long-awaited sequels. I think it's fun, it's entertaining, it's a movie for the whole family. This is a movie that has now had another sequel, and I believe another one is in the works as well. So they're continuing this. That's how successful it was. I just thought it was entertaining. I think that was the main thing, and I like that they had ties to the original movie. I think in the movie they had like was it a statue or something of Robin Williams' character, or they had some sort of memorial in the movie for his character. I remember something like that. And I know in the sequels to that, it features another original character from the original movie as well, which is nice. I think it's good the way they're tying it all in. They're not sort of forgetting the sequel. They're doing their own thing, kind of a bit of like a reboot in a way, but it still honours the sequel, the original movie that came before it. So Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle is my first choice. First of all, these are in no particular order, but that was a really good movie. Next up, the next long-awaited sequel I want to discuss is Star Wars: The Force Awakens. That is a superb movie. So look, Disney buy Lucasfilm, and then we get news that they are going to do new movies. We get all the cast announcements, and we see the trailers. The last one was out in Revenge of the Sith 2005. We see The Force Awakens come out in 2015. We have a 10-year wait there of no Star Wars movies and very little Star Wars content in between. I know you had the animated shows, but it's very, very few bits of content coming out. How did I feel about this? I was so pumped to see this. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I've said it on the channel many a times. So to first of all hear that they're doing a new movie was exciting. To see the initial trailers, the trailers for this movie, I even the other day watched one of the trailers for the Star Wars: The Force Awakens, because the trailers just got me so uplifted. It put a smile on my face. I was just so excited to see it. I remember I've done a show called Awesome Cinema Memories where I talk about my experience of watching movies, and I discussed this on the show, but I remember going to the cinema on that day, 2015, and just being so excited. I felt like a little kid getting presents at Christmas. It was so exciting to go to the cinema, and when the cinema went dark, the lights went out, and then you see emptiness, and then you see Star Wars. That was just so cool, and just to see that opening scene, that movie, I thought it was a great movie. I really enjoyed The Force Awakens. I know some people are mixed on some of the sequel trilogy, maybe The Force Awakens as well. I think it was a really good movie because it brought in maybe new audiences, new kids of that generation. It brought them kids in. It brought some of the adults who watched it as a kid, like myself. I think it brought a lot of generations back into Star Wars, and some people didn't like it, as I said, and some people have enjoyed some of the other stuff, like the Rogue One movie, The Mandalorian. I think it's all been great. I think I've enjoyed it because I'm a Star Wars fan. Sure, I can be picky, I can pick out negatives, but I've enjoyed it all. But this was a good, long-awaited sequel in my book. I thought Revenge of the Sith was a good sign-off to that trilogy, which wasn't the best trilogy in the world. And, it left it... You were thinking, will they ever do a sequel to the original movies? And you're thinking in your head, I don't think they will. And I could never honestly see it. I thought, when we seen Revenge of the Sith, I thought we were done with Star Wars movies. I thought, if anything, we're going to see maybe a TV show, because there was always rumours of a TV show. So I never thought we were going to see it, but we seen it in the end, and it was so cool to see it. I was so excited. And a 10-year wait. I can't believe it's 2015, that movie come out now. That's 6 years ago. That is maddening. Absolutely maddening. But it was so awesome to see. I was so excited. And it just lived up to all of the hype for me personally. I think it just lived up to it. I went in excited. I come out with a massive smile on my face. It was a really fun, enjoyable movie watching experience, and well worth the 10-year wait for The Force Awakens. The next one I want to discuss is Toy Story 3. And Toy Story 3, Toy Story 3 was released in 2010. Toy Story 2 was 1999. I can't believe Toy Story 2 was 99. I thought it was a bit later. I thought it was maybe like 2002 or 2003. But yeah, it was before the turn of the new millennium. So it was an 11-year wait between Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3. And sure, we've had Toy Story 4 since as well. And what did I think about Toy Story 3? It was a long-awaited sequel because there was, they got to finish the trilogy. Let's finish the trilogy of Toy Story movies, even though we get a fourth movie. Look at it now, I enjoyed Toy Story 4, but Toy Story 3 was a nice finish. If they finished it there, and I think a lot of people thought they had finished that sequel there and the Toy Story franchise there, I think it would have been a nice little bow, a nice little wrapping to that trilogy. I think it was a really good sign-off because you having that story of Andy, the owner of the toys, from being a kid to becoming a young adult, and then he gives away his toys in the end, and you say that goodbye from them characters, and it's like the end of the story, end of the road for that story. It's like nothing becomes after this because that's the story told. And I thought it was a really good sign off to that character of Andy, to them saying goodbye, that relationship. I thought it was a really good movie. I really enjoyed the movie as well because it added a new element of going to this new location, of going to the nursery with all the kids and meeting these other toys again. I thought it was a really a different approach to the story, to the Toy Story stories as well. I enjoyed 1 and 2. One was my favourite, definitely over 2, and even over 3. I think 1 is still my favourite Toy Story movie, but I feel like it was a nice ending to that story, and it was a really good long-awaited sequel as an animated movie. Some animated movies are not... Well, first of all, sometimes we don't even get to 3 movies on an animated movie. You look at like The Incredibles. That has never had a trilogy yet, even though it is such a highly successful movie franchise, and it's really made a lot of money. So it is very rare that we get 3 movies of an animated franchise. I know there's probably some keyboard warriors out there now. Well, actually, there's many movies that have had 3 movies. Sure, there's going to be some. I know there's going to be some, but generally speaking, it seems to me anyway that there's not that many well-known or high-grossing and highly popular trilogies of animated movies, ones that have been really successful, like Toy Story. And I enjoyed the story. I thought the ending was really nice. And look, I enjoyed Toy Story 4. I still think Toy Story 4 is a good film, and it adds another chapter, another element of the relationships between the toys this time, rather than the toys and humans. So that Toy Story 4 was a great movie, and I'm looking forward to the Buzz Lightyear spin-off movie. I think that's going to be great as well. But Toy Story 3 for me was a really perfect ending to the Toy Story trilogy at that point in time anyway, and it was well worth the long-awaited time period between them movies of Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 3. Anyway, let's move on to the 4th and final film of the best long-awaited movie sequels in history. In history, ladies and gents. This one may be a controversial one. I've mentioned it on the channel before. Maybe some of you know what I'm going to say already. And maybe some of you are going to disagree with me. That's fine. Opinion, let me know your opinions. Let me know on all these movies. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The long-awaited sequel from The Last Crusade. The Last Crusade, first of all, the 3rd movie in the Indiana Jones franchise, was spectacular. You had Sean Connery teaming up with Harrison Ford. He played his father, and it was just an incredible movie. I think it's one of the best adventure movies of all time. Probably in my top 10 movies of all time as well, The Last Crusade, definitely. The best Indiana Jones movie for me as well. So we get now, that was released in 1989. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was released in 2008, so that's a 19-year wait. And at that point in time, you're looking at Indiana Jones, you're looking at Harrison Ford especially, I'm thinking, is he maybe a bit too old for the role now? And surely that question definitely has probably come up. I think he still nails it. I think he's great as Indiana Jones. I think he's great as Han Solo. He's filming the new Indiana Jones at this very moment in time. So the new Indiana Jones movie is filming Indiana Jones 5. We don't know the title as of yet. So they're doing a new one. And this is years after 2008. Look, this is, again, another long period of time between these Indiana Jones movies. But Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I've mentioned this on the show before. I had it on DVD. I never watched it at the cinema. So for me, I had it on DVD a few years ago. And I heard really bad reviews about this movie. I heard people slating it, saying it was really bad. And I never watched it. And I'd watched the original movies, but I was never a massive Indiana Jones fan. And I decided not to watch it. I decided to listen to negative reviews, and think, because everyone was saying this is awful, I decided to just get rid of it and give it to a charity shop. Years later, move forward, maybe a year or two ago, I see it really cheap DVD. I'm thinking, I recently watched the Indiana Jones movies again. I really got into them this time. And I thought, I've got to watch this. I've got to buy this and watch it. Bought the film, The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, watched it, absolutely loved it. I thought it was a great movie, a really good Indiana Jones movie, a really good adventure movie. As I said, I think Indiana Jones nailed it again. I think he's great in that role. I think it was great. A few performances I really enjoy. I like the return of Marianne from the first movie, his love interest, his female counterpart. I thought she was great in the movie, seeing that return of that character. We see the marriage of those two characters in the end. And we see the debut of Indy's son in this movie, of Shia LaBeouf. I always forget how you pronounce his name, but Shia LaBeouf. Sorry, we've got a lawnmower going on in the background now. Sound effects plenty on today's show. But it was a great movie. I thought it was, again, all their movies, they feel like timeless classic movies. I think it's just the way they encompass a certain time period in their movies. I think they're really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to the sequel as well now, another long-awaited movie sequel. But Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, there was some great... Ray Winston, I thought he was really good in this movie. Cate Blanchett, she was great as the villain in this. I like the story. I like the adventure in Indiana Jones movies. I like that, going into these mysterious places and finding these mysterious items. And it's just... I think they're just fun. I think they're fun. I think they're entertaining. I think you can just sink yourself into the movie. And this was a long-awaited sequel. It was 19 years... And even though I might have not been really excited to see that movie over that time, I never watched it in the cinema, I think it's, for me, looking at best long-awaited sequels, for a 19-year period, even though I've enjoyed it years after, I think it's well worth. It's one of the best long-awaited sequels in my book, because it is a fun movie to watch, a great movie to watch, and if you've never watched it, or you've never given it the chance like I didn't at first, definitely check it out, because it's a really good sequel to The Last Crusade, and a good Indiana Jones movie as well. So anyway, that is the headline topic out the way for today's show. Best long-awaited sequel movies. Let's move forward anyway. Let's move on to what have I been watching this week. So I have been watching the last episode of Loki season 1, and I will say spoilers for that episode and for the season if you've not watched it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers ahead for Loki, ladies and gents, because I don't want to spoil it for you. What a really good ending. A very different ending. Not an ending full of like massive superhero action scenes. A very different ending. Very much an ending that ended on a light confrontation and a conversation. Because we see the debut of who is the villain. This is the mystery. Who is the villain of Loki season 1? And we see the villain of the piece. I thought it could have been a variant of Loki. I've said Mephisto. There's been rumors of who it could be, and there was rumors of this character, and the character in the end is this character called He Who Remains, and it is played by Jonathan Majors, and he is already been announced to be starring in Ant-Man Quantumania as Kang the Conqueror. And in this, he is not taking up that role specifically. He is a variant, basically, of Kang the Conqueror. And the variant's name is He Who Remains. And he's not like in the Marvel comic book style of costume of Kang the Conqueror. He's very much just as the actor is, with this guy. He's got no makeup on, no fancy suit really. Jonathan Majors, first of all, I've never really watched him in anything, so I don't really know of this actor really. What I can say, I've really enjoyed his performance in this. I thought he has a lot of charisma from what I've seen here. He looks like a really fun villain. It's what's fun as well, because we're going to see different variations of this character, of his performances in the future, I imagine, as well. Because I imagine his character is going to be very different in the Ant-Man sequel. But he is the villain. It's not anyone else. It's not a variant of Loki. He's the villain of all this. He's the guy who's controlling time. And basically, it's revealed in this story that he is like the one who is destroying all these timelines to stop a multiverse war. And he says, like, if you kill me, he will, a big multiverse war happens. And Sylvie ends up killing him in the end after this big long conversation. And she has a confrontation also with Loki as well, and she sends him back to the TVA. She kills He Who Remains, and then we get to the end of the episode. Loki is looking for Mobius, and he finds him, and basically then we see that the whole reality has been changed. Where you had the big statues of the original timekeepers of the TVA, it is now a statue of Kang the Conqueror, or He Who Remains, Jonathan Majors' character. Mobius doesn't recognize Loki as well. Him and the other agent, they don't recognize Loki. So reality has been changed. Loki is only aware of what's gone on in the past. So in killing He Who Remains, Sylvie killed him. Everything has been changed. And this obviously now... First of all, I thought it was a great ending. I thought it was something different. I liked that fact that they ended it with this sort of conversation and a big reveal of a big, he's rumoured to be like the next Thanos of the MCU. So to throw him in a Disney Plus show, I think is really a big opportunity there. They've made a big statement in throwing. That's like saying, these shows really do mean something big. We're throwing in big characters here. We know they're big already, but this shows how big and how much they think of these shows for future purposes as well, and links to future movies. But this really does set up season 2 of Loki, because they announced it in the post credits. They said season 2 of Loki is coming, which is really exciting. This also sets up a lot of like the MCU future movies as well, and it could change the future, because it's like saying reality has been changed. We don't know how much of reality has been changed. We now know that Loki is going to feature in Doctor Strange 2, The Multiverse of Madness. That's going to feature also Scarlet Witch as well, Spider-Man. Spider-Man, I don't know if Spider-Man isn't in that. I think Doctor Strange is in Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man 3 movie. But it's going to be I think there's going to be a lot of effects and impacts of future movies, and it's going to be super exciting. I thought it was a good ending. I think he's going to be a great villain, Jonathan Majors. And I'm excited to see more of that character. I'm looking forward to seeing Ant-Man 3 as well. I like the Ant-Man movies, but I'm excited to see what they do with his character in that, and what is his will he have like a comic accurate look in that movie? It's going to be cool, because we see it's just going to be. I think they really. They could have done it two ways. They could have done similar to like Scarlet WandaVision, where they have like a big battle at the end. And like I said, they had a tiny little fight between Loki and Sylvie when they were in the Citadel. But then we see that conversation with Jonathan Majors' character, and then we see them Sylvie killing him, and it's a very different ending. And I was just intrigued by it all. I thought it was really, really good, a well-told story. And I read some online this morning. I think it was on Screen Rant, and it was with the director, or it was the showrunner for Loki, I think it was. And they said like the inspiration for that reveal at the end, where Loki goes back to the TVA and everything's changed, existence has been changed, and it was inspired by like the Twilight Zone, and specifically the original Planet of the Apes movie, where we see Charlton Heston's character then find out that he is on Earth all along, and Planet of the Apes is Earth in the future, which is just a mind-boggling concept. And I loved it because it was just that utter confusion of Loki. He's like going to Mobius, and Mobius doesn't have a clue who he is. And I hope we see season 2. I just want to see this storyline continue. I want to see more from Jonathan Majors in the TV show side of things, as well as the movies. I want to see Owen Wilson return as Mobius. I want to see all that cast return. Sylvie. I gotta say, you know what? The relationship. One thing all this season of Loki. One thing. Initially I was like I liked the relationship, but I found it really really weird that they have like a romantic relationship between two of the same person, Sylvie, between two variants, Loki and Sylvie. I found I can watch Game of Thrones and I can see, you know, the relationships we see on Game of Thrones. We see brothers and sisters, and that kind of doesn't affect me as much. How weird's that saying? But watching a variant weirded me out. I don't know why. I should be weirded out by. This sounds really weird, but I was thinking I was thinking that to myself today. I've watched like episode. You know, we see the Lannisters, and we see them relationships there, and the awkwardness and weird relationships, and then we see this relationship between Loki and Sylvie, and that just made me go, that is weird. That is weird. I don't know why I've never felt that before watching like Game of Thrones. Maybe because Game of Thrones is just like all out, anything goes, but this is the MCU, and it's more of like a family orientated, and it's for kids watching as well. Whereas Game of Thrones, I would say, is more for adults. I found it a bit weird, that relationship between Sylvie and Loki. I wasn't like sort of applauding it. I was like, oh, it's a bit weird, isn't it? I don't know how I really feel about that. Maybe I'll change my mind in future. But I really enjoyed the show. I think it was a really good show. I actually think it was the best show yet, and I think it started slow. And maybe, yeah, I think, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier up to now was my favourite. But this one is the sci-fi element, and this, especially the last episode, it was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to what they do in the future with Loki and with season 2 and with Kang the Conqueror. It's going to be awesome. Something else I've been watching this week is the original Space Jam, and it's something I've not visited in a while, and I want to watch it in, with the new movie coming out soon, and just to get excited for the new movie. And I really enjoy that movie. I forgot how much like the music was so much fun, the story and them characters, and the animation was great at the time. And to think, I've seen bits of like the filming of that movie, the green screen. I think Michael Jordan did a really good job, and it was a great movie to watch at the time. And like I said, the music, I hope they bring some of the music back from the original for the sequel. I think it'd be cool because some of that music is really iconic. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of those characters, seeing Bugs Bunny again. Hey, what's up, Doc? I was doing my impression, and it's not the best. I've got to work on my impression. It's better than my Daffy Duck impression. It's Space Jam. Space Jam. I can't even do it. I did it a bit better yesterday. I need to listen to the voice and do it again. But Bugs Bunny. Ew, I'm looking forward to the Space Jam 2, Doc. That's my that's my best Space Jam Bugs Bunny impression. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing what the cameo of Michael Jordan is as well. So it's going to be good. So Space Jam 2 New Legacy coming out. I can't wait for that. I think it's going to be so exciting to see that long-awaited sequel to that movie. But let's move on to movies for the weekend, ladies and gents. Some movie recommendations from myself for this weekend. I've got two, and they're sort of like inspired by today's show. We've got the first one being Will Ferrell in Anchorman, and this had a long-awaited sequel in Anchorman 2. This was very much a long-awaited sequel for a lot of people. I enjoyed the first movie more than the second one. I thought the second one was okay, but the first one was perfect. I love this movie. I think it's great, really funny movie, and it's definitely a movie for the weekend, well worth watching. Next one, I mentioned it today on the show. We had Force Awakens, the long-awaited sequel, but the original, the one that was before it, the predecessor, was Revenge of the Sith. Such a great movie. Seeing that birth of Darth Vader, really. Such a good movie. I really, sometimes I don't know, I change a lot of my opinions on Star Wars, and specifically the prequel movies, and I do think this is the best one. I think it's the best one. and it is one. I think you can watch this without watching any of the other ones. I think you can pick out certain Star Wars movies and watch them without watching them all. I feel like I can watch them because I've seen them all that many times anyway. But this is one well worth watching. Revenge of the Sith, ladies and gents. Give it a watch. But anyway, that is a wrap for today's show. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you very much for watching as always. If you did like today's show, please do give it a like and check out the rest of my movie-related content as well, ladies and gents. Let me know what are your best long-awaited movie sequels. Which ones have been the ones that you waited for a long time, you really enjoyed when it came out? You were so excited and it lived up to all the hype. What are some of your, what are some of your least favourite ones as well? Let me know some of your least favourite. And I think more importantly, which ones are you looking forward to in the future? Which ones are coming up, or maybe they've not been announced yet, that you're wanting to see? What is a personal long-awaited sequel that you're still waiting for? Let me know all your picks, ladies and gents. And as always, thank you very much for watching the show, and I will see you next time.